My name is Daniela Gentinoto. For Capstone, I analyzed Strawberry's assessment data. I examined the early names test, the PASS test, spelling inventory, oral reading, fluency, and the comprehension check. So each of these tests showed me insight into strengths of strawberries and weaknesses of strawberries. That is with encoding and decoding. So some of Strawberry's strengths included accurately decoding CVC and nonsense words. This was found in the early names test. I noticed that a lot of these words were nonsense words, and Strawberry was still able to accurately decode them. They were CVC words, so I'm sure that she was able to use her basic phonics knowledge to help decode those words, which showed me that she has strong foundational knowledge in phonics and phonemic awareness. Additionally, Strawberry was able to correctly spell simple words and recognize digraphs and simple blends. She also used self-correction strategies while reading on the oral fluency check. The comprehension check that went with the oral reading passage, Strawberry accurately answered 5 out of 5 questions, which showed me that she has strong comprehension skills. Strawberry also seems to understand the text's meaning even when her reading is not fully fluent. So she might not be reading with expression and stamina, but she still has a general understanding of what the text is explaining to her. Some weaknesses that I noted were difficulty in distinguishing short vowel sounds, like in the word lug, Strawberry substituted the for ah. Additionally, struggles with automatic word recognition impacted Strawberry's ability to fluently read, so she could definitely use some help with that. Strawberry also confuses visually similar consonants like P and B, D and B, T and F. Strawberry struggles with vowel teams and consonant blends. She could definitely benefit from further instruction with that. She struggles with encoding skills like phoneme-grapheme connections. And she also struggles with more complex spelling words or spelling patterns and multisyllabic words. So based off of those strengths and weaknesses, some instructional recommendations for decoding would be explicit instruction in decoding consonant blends and vowel teams to strengthen her ability to read more complex words accurately. Another one for decoding would be the use of picture-supported decoding activities to help connect those sounds and written words. And a third decoding instructional recommendation from me would be repeated readings of familiar passages to improve that reading stamina, expression, and overall fluency. Some encoding instructional recommendations that I have would be to utilize multi-sensory spelling activities like tapping sounds, stamping letters, or using magnetic letters to create those words. This will help reinforce phoneme-grapheme connections. Another strategy would be dictation activities to help with encoding, or even working on segmenting words into individual sounds before spelling to help improve that sound sequencing in words. After examining data from other candidates that also looked at Strawberry's data assessments, we found some similarities and differences. So we all identified strengths as decoding CVC words, self-correction, basic phonemic awareness skills. We all identified areas of needs as vowel teams, fluency, and advanced phonemic awareness skills. We also all recommended explicit phonics instruction to strengthen literacy skills and also improve segmentation and deletion skills. My recommendations, however, this is where our recommendations started to differ. I wanted to include more of multi-sensory learning activities, whereas others recommended slow reading paces to improve decoding accuracy, syllable chunking, self-monitoring practices during reading. So that is where my recommendations differed from others. Next up, we looked at other candidates who looked at students on varying grade levels. So third grade, I believe it is Naturo and Strawberry both showed strong comprehension but struggled with reading fluency and automatic word recognition. They also both showed foundational phonics skills that were appropriate for their grade level. A similarity was the recommendation for explicit instruction in phonics and repeated readings along with multisensory learning activities. Then we move into grade 5, Blueberry, and it seemed that Strawberry and Blueberry both struggled with vowel patterns and multisyllabic words. Strawberry, however, had difficulties with more advanced phonics patterns, like vowel sounds, and also reading fluency. Blueberry struggled a little bit more with writing and proofreading and spelling conventions, forming those multisyllabic words. So this is where I notice a commonality in our instructional recommendation for Strawberry and Blueberry in explicit instruction in decoding and reading multisyllabic words. So both the first grader and the fifth grader could use explicit instruction with multisyllabic words. Lastly, grade 5, this is Raspberry. Raspberry and Strawberry both demonstrated strong comprehension skills. They were able to answer their comprehension questions with accuracy. And they both struggled with reading fluency and substituting words with similar looking words. So we figured that a commonality between the two is that instruction should focus on improving fluency through increased accuracy and repeated readings. Based on my lesson plan for decoding, I chose to focus on reading fluency, which means repeated readings of a passage that is of interest to Strawberry. This focuses on the gradual release of responsibility model. I do, we do, you do. So I would model it by first reading with the appropriate expression and stamina for Strawberry to see. Then we would participate in echo reading as the we do portion, and then following that we would participate in the independent portion for Strawberry where she would take on the reading herself. I forgot to mention, prior to this we will examine the passage for any unfamiliar words to hopefully assist with decoding. Progress will be monitored through things like running records and observations and also word counts per minute. Lastly, my encoding lesson plan focused on strengthening those spelling skills through multisensory activities that targeted phoneme-grapheme connections. Vowel teams, consonant blends, those are important things, more complex spelling patterns that Strawberry needs to work on. So through this, we work on auditory, listening activities through warm-ups and tapping out those sounds. We map out the sounds with alconin boxes and counters, and then we actually graph those sounds or those graphemes in the alconin boxes. So this is a scaffolded approach that connects spoken sounds to written language. This multisensory activity increases engagement and allows Strawberry to take on an active role in her learning. So progress here would be monitored again through observation, anecdotal records, spelling samples, and other informal spelling assessments. That is all. Thank you so much for listening.